This is a statement that is before the Honorable Senators and Mr. Speaker, sir. Confirm to the House that that is your statement because it will guide us in the proceedings.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the statement before this Honorable House is mine. I personally did it, and it was in respect to the impeachment motion against the Governor of Nairobi County that I did present to the County Assembly of Nairobi, and we actually executed it on the 3rd of this month. So the statement is mine.
Thank you so much. You have talked about the impeachment motion. Kindly elucidate about that impeachment motion in brief.
Mr. Speaker, sir, being an MCA in the county of Nairobi, and also the leader of the minority party, having also been elected in several occasions, having been there for some time, I was alive to the fact, and I am alive to the fact of the ongoing within the county. And to my knowledge, I just realized that things were not going on well. And a leader, a representative of the people whom they have confidence and faith in, I had no otherwise but to stand with my people and bring an impeachment motion against the governor for the way he is handling matters and affairs of the county, which, according to me and the members who supported me, we have never been satisfied, and we are not satisfied as I speak before you today.
So you do confirm that your motion is actually the foundation of these proceedings today?
Definitely, Honorable Speaker. We are gathering here as a result of the motion that I did table and we prosecuted in the county assembly.
So, Mr. Ogada, kindly tell us the grounds upon which your motion is based on, and indeed these particular impeachment proceedings.
Honorable Speaker, sir, and the senators, the Constitution gives us the grounds under which a serving governor may be impeached. And we have got 4 grounds that we relied on when we were prosecuting our impeachment against the governor. The grounds being gross violation of the Constitution or any other law, abuse of office, gross misconduct, and crimes under the national law.
Thank you so much. I will take you straight to that because that is the crux of the proceedings. I'll lead you to ground number 1, gross violation of the Constitution. Kindly explain to this particular House what you mean by that.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we did put across one of the charges against the governor being the gross violation of the Constitution. And in this, we did say that Article 201 A, D, and E of the Constitution of Kenya on the finance management and Section 154 of the Public Finance Management of 2012, the County Allocation of Revenue Act 2015 on the use of conditional grants. Mr. Speaker, sir, we know what we mean by conditional grants. They are ring-fenced grants which we are supposed to use or follow some guidelines and rules when we use them. And in that area, we did realize that the governor was violating the Constitution, the PFM, and County Revenue Allocation Act by misusing or misdirecting the funds that were really allocated for these purposes. For example, Mr. Speaker, sir, one thing that came into our mind is that we have got funds that are clearly earmarked as road levy funds, which are being given by Roadsport. And for the 3 years the governor has been in office, he has never used this money prudently. For example, the first financial year when he was in office, he was able to divert a total of 622 million, which is a road levy fund. As I speak today, we are not receiving money from Kenya Roads Board as a result of his misdeeds, and therefore we are not able to really function, do the roads, operate within the county as a result of the misdeeds of the governor. And item number 2 is about the diversion of bursary funds, which is also ring-fenced. Mr. Speaker, sir, this has been a very contentious issue because the County of Nairobi give bursaries and they give scholarships. One thing that became strange, which members of the county assembly had to stand up and say no to, is when the governor came into office. One thing he did is he found a number of around 3,000 students who are under scholarship of the county, full scholarship of the county, whereby every financial year, the county was paying for them 53,000, and these students were selected by the head teachers from across Nairobi. 2 students per school by the head teachers, and the letters were very particular and specific that the head teacher had to look for an orphan in the school, a bright student who is an orphan and disadvantaged. These were 3,000 students. When the governor came in, he just instantly stopped. And the students others were in Form 3, others were in Form 2, the others were in Form 1. And do you know what he said? He said he could not continue paying school fees for people who were recruited by the predecessor, the person he took over from. And he used simple terms that he cannot continue paying school fees for lawyers and lawyers. And that thing became touching to some of us. I went through that list, and if you go through that list, you will find Kenyans in that list, not people from a particular tribe. These people just dropped out of school like that, which as a representative of the people, and a person who has a human heart, you cannot just sit and watch such a thing happen. Those children are now on the street. They cannot continue. They were orphans. No. We could not allow that. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other thing was about the diversion of the 297...
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, what's your point of order, Council?
Yes, my point of order is that none of the allegations about the Luyas, with respect to the Luyas and the Luos, is contained here. And this is the objection, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we were making earlier on, that this witness is adducing evidence that was not before the county. It is now self-evident. Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, this statement does not reference at all, obliquely or indirectly, any Luyas being deprived of bursaries, any Luos in Nairobi City County. So if we allow that sort of thing, honorable members, you will see it is outside the law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if you may grant us...
Stick to your statement, what you wrote in your statement.
Only one thing, guidance, that in evidence, a witness testifies to the things that he has seen, perceived, what he knows, and what he can touch. Because this house is guided by Cap 80, the law of evidence. And that is the evidence that the witness is testifying. Unless there has been a prior decision by this honorable house that a witness will only be limited to the content of the statement. That was never given to us. I believe the rules of evidence apply during these proceedings, Mr. Speaker, sir. We seek your guidance.
Mr. Speaker,
Who is okay?
My name is Wilfred Nyamo, part of the defense team for the governor. As it is, Mr. Speaker, and with utmost respect to this House, a can of worms has been opened, in the sense that if this witness is allowed to proceed the way he is, testifying, making allegations beyond even his own statement, where he's not taken oath, he's not even on oath, what evidence are we taking in this House, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker.
It is a wastage of time for this
Mr.
House,
Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, and this House, Mr. Speaker, is seated as an adjudicatory body or authority and not a legislative body, Mr. Speaker. We need to be structured.
Only one, Mr. Speaker, sir, that when this House sits...
The ruling against hearsay is very clear.
Order, members. Order. I have ruled that you keep to the statement that you gave. Please, simple as that.
Thank you for your guidance, Mr. Speaker. So, Honorable Ogada, you were telling this particular House about the 297 million.
Order, there's an intervention, Senator Kindiki.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I hate to interrupt, but let me just support what the chair has ruled, which is yourself, that yes, we are adjudicating over this matter in a quasi-judicial capacity, but we are the Senate and we are guided by the rules of the Senate. So once the Speaker directs that something of a procedural nature should take place, I think that should be the case. But Mr. Speaker, now that Council has relied on the Evidence Act, in fact, it is that Evidence Act, and I'm referring to the Council for the County Assembly. That Evidence Act is the one that prohibits the introduction of new evidence late into the trial, and it is Section 146 of the Evidence Act. You stick in matters of judicial proceedings, you stick to evidence that was tabled and adduced at the time of close of pleadings.
Yes, that's what I've directed.
So, Mr. Ogada, we will have to demonstrate that we have the evidence, and it is your turn. You have indicated that there is an issue about the 297 million. Kindly explain to the House that particular issue.
Mr. Speaker, sir, as I had just indicated that there was a gross diversion of the resources, and we did say that these monies were not used for what they were meant for. For example, if you go to page 77 and 78, you will realize that
that will be the file that is labeled 9A. 9A. You can proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, as you look at that file, you'll realize that a requisition was made by the county government through the governor to the controller of budget, requisitioning for 297 to pay bursaries. But when the money came, it hit the accounts on the 12th, and on the 14th...
Just tell the House which day, 12th of which month, which year, kindly?
Let them proceed. Let them give, please. We said we minimize interruption. The lawyers are going to cross-examine them.
The date.
Let's ask one of the sergeant at arms to assist you.
Okay.
2019.
Proceed.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir, just as Senator Orengo had raised it, that as I will be submitting, I'm really getting a lot of interjections. I don't know whether my time is being eaten into, but I know you are going to take care of that. Mr. Speaker, sir, what I wanted to say is that on the 12th of July, 99, they did request for 297.
Which year have you? Which year?
2019.
2019.
They did request, And instead of paying school fees for the poor children, Mr. Speaker, sir, instead of paying school fees for the poor children, they instead went and started paying lawyers.
So where will we find that in your evidence in terms of when these amounts came in? It is on which page? On your paragraph 12?
That is page 77.
Page 77. Just kindly guide
77 and 78.
Kindly guide the House to the specifics, so that any senator that is not with us may be with us. 76. Start with 76.
Mr. Speaker, on the statement that I have, when you check on the 12th day, that is when that money hit the account. And as I was saying, immediately the money came into the account. They were able to use the money, not for the intended purpose, but instead to do other things. And mark you, what they were really paying for were neither in the work plans that were presented to the controller of budget, neither were they really requisitioned for. So that was absolute diversion of resources at the expense of the poor children.
So Mr. Ogada, kindly advise us which document is this? That is, we are finding it on page 76, page 77, and page 78.
That's a statement from the bank.
It is a bank statement
Yes.
for
Yes.
which particular individual or which particular entity?
So the monies were paid to some law firms.
Excuse me, on a point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The money were paid to some law firms.
I have an issue about the production, the reference to documents.
What's your point of order?
I have an issue, Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the governor. The photocopies we have are neither certified, the source not notified. The veracity of those documents was the gist and the thrust of our earlier objection. I don't want to overrule or go back there, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor. I need your direction, the ruling on the admissibility of that evidence. It was earlier on our issue, and now as this witness has not sworn any affidavit, has not got a sworn statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, we're in a handicap. The conundrum that faces us is now we have photocopies of documents, the veracity of which is not verifiable, and the thrust of which is then to impugn the integrity of the governor. So unless we get the direction, because this witness has not produced them, this witness has just a bunch of documents, is not sworn.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if I may have the bite of the cherry in response to the objection being raised by my senior, Mr. Kinyanjui. Mr. Speaker, if I invite you to Section 33 of the County Government Act, being the section guiding these proceedings, and most importantly, Order number 75 again, this house is not just sitting as a judicial house. It is also being called and invited to conduct an investigation. Investigation does not necessarily mean, it means collection or correction of evidence. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Kinyanjui should not invite you to think that you're only sitting as a judicial officer. You are also sitting as an investigation. We are not the ones who drafted this section.
Okay, order. Senator Olekina, what's your interjection?
Mr. Speaker, I'm looking at these documents, and this is the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, which even under Article 125 has got the power to sit as a high court. These documents are not they're not legible, and they are also not certified. It will be important for us to have documents which are certified.
Order, Senator. I thought
My concern is this: I can't even see what I'm looking at.
From where I sit, those are some of the things that you will look at when you are making your decision. It's not your turn. Let them. Let you. Yes, you have order. You will have your order. You will have your turn, and even the council, you will have your turn to poke holes in what is being produced in the Senate. Proceed. And let me request the council to lower your voice. It's a bit. We can hear you. Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And for the record, Mr. Speaker, some of these particular entities are the ones we have sought the help of this particular House in the summons that the House has just issued. But thank you. Mr. Ogada, kindly take us, because our time is quickly running out.
Mr. Speaker, sir, having said that, I said that after they received the money, on the 15th, they were on paying J.O. Magolo and company advocates 8 million. That was meant for bursaries. On the same 15th, they were paying Abdullahi Gitari 30 million from the same amount meant for students. On the same day, they were paying Musioki Mogaka and the company advocates 68 million from school fees. And on the same 15th, they were paying Kwanga Mboya 80 million Kenya shillings. They went ahead to pay Miller and company advocates 83 million. And on the same date, they say they paid Monica another 250 million Kenya shillings meant for school fees.
Thank you so much. In your paragraph 14, you have indicated to this particular House that there is another violation. Kindly explain that to the House.
The Speaker, sir, on my paragraph 14, the governor violated 187(2)(a) of the Constitution and Article 5(2) of the Deed of Transfer. That can be found on page 359.
359, Mr. Speaker, sir, is still on the file that is labeled DA. That is 9A. My apologies, 9A. So as we proceed, and there is an indication that has come from the House in terms of these better particulars. There is a letter dated the 14th day of December 2020 from the office of the Speaker, which I will want you to explain to this particular House in relation to this particular issue. So confirm the date of that letter, Mr. Ogada.
The date is...
Just flip it through, kindly.
The date is on the 14th of December. The 14th of December 2020.
Confirm it is from the Speaker of the Nairobi City County Assembly?
Yes, it is from the Speaker.
What is the import of that letter?
Notification for pre-qualification by the county government. Letter of instructions for the case, fee notes, tax compliance certificate, evidence of tax payment, dates of payment, status report.
Yes, so read the first paragraph so that we can know the context of read the first paragraph.
I acknowledge receipt of a letter dated 9th December 2020 inviting the Nairobi City County Assembly to appear before the Senate for the purpose of availing evidence with respect to the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Mike Mbuvi Sonko, the governor of Nairobi City County.
Yes, just continue.
The County Assembly hereby requests your office to issue summons to the following persons to appear before the Senate. 1, Mike Mbuvi. Number 2, Justus Gathenge. And Mr. Kwanga Mboya, Cecil Miller, Musyoki Mogaka.
Confirm that those advocates are part of the advocates that you have named, having received this particular benefit.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the persons we have invited here are part of the people who received money that was meant for the bursaries.
Yes, that is okay. So we can go to the next issue. You have indicated a violation on paragraph 15 of your statement. Kindly take the House through that.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the Assembly, having passed our estimates, and then we did pass our appropriations bill for the 2020 financial year, it was upon the governor to ensure that he assented to the appropriations bill, which he did not assent to, but instead he rejected it. That is the term he used. He rejected it. And it was referred back to the Assembly. According to the Constitution, once a governor rejects and returns without a document, we are either to go by some of his advice, or we can overturn. And once it is overturned, he has no option but to sign. He did bring it. We overturned it. After overturning it, it was taken to him. And as a requirement, within 7 days, he was supposed to have assented to it, failure to which it automatically became law and effective. And him having a final say in terms of whether we can be able to access the county monies from CRF, he was not able to really give the go-ahead by a way of writing and signing a warrant. And Mr. Speaker, sir, as we speak today, this is the month of December, and all members of this House are aware that budgets are supposed to be made by June. By July, they're supposed to be effective. So can you imagine 6 months down the line, the County of Nairobi has no budget. The County of Nairobi cannot pay staffs. The County of Nairobi cannot supply medicine to hospitals. The County of Nairobi cannot pay ECD teachers, simply because the governor has refused to assent. Just putting a pen, even if it is a golden pen, supposed to have put it down so that the people can access services. We can't do our roads. We can't do nothing, simply because he has refused to assent. As a responsible Kenyan citizen, where do you go? What do you do? Our doctors cannot be paid their salaries. PPs cannot be bought, simply because a governor has refused to sign. The money is not his. These are taxpayers' money.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I will.
He's not signing.
I don't want to keep objecting.
So
okay.
what can an ordinary responsible Kenyan do?
Mr. Ogada, let us go back to the statement. On paragraph number 18, you have informed us about gross violation of the Constitution in relation to Dandora Stadium. Kindly elucidate that to this particular Honorable House. Paragraph number 18 of your statement.
Mr. Speaker, sir, In terms of paragraph 18, it is about a stadium that was being constructed in Dandora, and the entire process, the procurement processes were gone through, and the work started. And they have specifications according to BQs.
Where will we get that?
Then that one will get in page 808 to 813.
Mr. Speaker, that is the file number 9B. 9B, the black file, 9B. It's a bulky file. It's a bulky file, not a small one. That is page 631, as he has indicated. I would want you, as the House gets to that page, Mr. Ogada, to be ready to read paragraph 1 of that particular document.
Which page?
Page 631 that you have told us about.
Page 631, paragraph 1.
Yes.
It talks about a proposed stadia that have a capacity of 3,000 sitting on concrete terraces and steel truss with libocarbonate sheets. Semi-basement area below the terraces shall form room for changing rooms and washrooms, offices and stores. A perimeter wall shall be constructed in all the sites to secure the facilities, and the artificial turf shall be provided for the playing ground.
That is okay. Let's move to paragraph 21. Paragraph 21 of your statement.
Yes.
You have also referred us to additional pages.
That is page 856 and 857.
What do they speak about? Kindly read for us your statement, Mr. Ogada. What do they speak about? Paragraph 21.
The authority flagged irregularities in the awarding of the tender, alteration of contract specifications, suspected irregular payments, and forgery of documents.
So kindly read for us. Look at page 856 and 857 of the same file that you have referred us to.
Yes, 856.
Yes. Confirm to us that particular document. Which document is that, and what would you want to tell this particular House on that document as you read?
This is a PPRA report dated the 23rd 9th of 2019.
Yes, explain to the court explain to the House paragraph page 856 and 857. What is notable there?
One of the observations is that it has been observed that the county government has actually gone ahead to irregularly pay the contractor an amount of Kenya shillings 196.8 million, as evidenced by the payment records. Number 5, it talks about forgery of documents. The contract documents appear to have been forged, including a cabinet memorandum to state that the stadium should be steel structures when the work is already 70% complete.
So read for us page 857.
That is in conclusion, that is on the PPRA report. The contractor, that is paragraph C, the contractor for the project Mr. Skagent Construction Limited, supported by the officers of the Nairobi City County Government, put up steel structures instead of the concrete structure as initially tendered for by the bidders, in a clear contravention of the specifications and terms of the contract, and contrary to section 135(6), 139 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015. D, the county government paid the contractor an amount of Kenya shillings 196 million as advised by the payment record highlighted herein. And on the recommendations B, there should be more investigation on how and the extent to which variation of the materials affected the cost of the contract. And finally, in view of the above, the authority concludes that PE did not adhere to the general provisions of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015, especially with specific regard to Section 44, 69, 139, 146, and the relevant provisions under Section 151(2), amongst other provisions.
On page 858, this document is dated when?
It is dated the 23rd, 9th, 2019.
23rd day of September 2019.
Yes.
Thank you. And it is a document from, you've said, PPRA.
PPRA.
Public Procurement Regulatory Authority, I believe.
Yes.
Thank you. And that is a government entity?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And signed by Francis Kisinga.
So I will quickly take you to the next aspect. The issue in paragraph 25 of your statement.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in my paragraph 25,
25, 26, 27.
The governor violated section 35(4) and section 45(1) of the County Government Act 2012 as read together with section 104 and section 148 of the PFM Act. Between 2018, Mr. Speaker, sir, as I speak to this, we were talking about good governance. And in this case, I clearly say that the governor violated this section by appointing one Ms. Winfred Gadhangu as a CEC member for economic planning and also acting as the chief officer for finance, and at the same time she was also the chief officer for economic planning, knowing very well that one of those offices is under public service, the other one is a public officer. So definitely it was in contravention of the act. And Mr. Speaker, sir,
where do we find that evidence as enumerated in your paragraph 28?
Yeah, that one we will find in on page 881
yes.
and 882.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that is the file number 9A, page 881 to 882. What is in page 881, 882? Kindly read to the Honorable House.
Honorable Speaker, in this respect, we find on the 10th of April 2019, one Winfred Gadhangu writes a letter to the County Assembly clerk inviting them for a workshop. And
what is the date of that letter, Mr. Ogada?
That is 10th April 2019.
10th April 2019. What she's writing to who?
To the clerk County Assembly.
She's writing in which capacity?
As the County Chief Officer for Economic Planning.
As the County Chief Officer for Economic Planning?
Yes.
And the next letter?
The next letter, that was done on the 9th, that is on page 882, was done on the 9th of 2019 to the clerk of the county on a supplementary budget. And here, she's writing, the county treasury submitted supplementary budget to the county assembly via the letter reference CEC on the 25th of March 2018, further arising from the deliberations by the county executive committee on the revised budget submitted via the above reference letter, it was decided that the supplementary budget as submitted be withdrawn and be resubmitted later.
So
and
what I want you to tell us is, in which capacity is she writing this second letter?
She is writing this letter as CECM Finance and Economic Planning.
So that is, you are confirming that it is the same person writing a letter on the 9th of April 2019, and in her capacity as the Finance and Economic Planning CEC, and on the 10th of April 2019, the same person is writing a letter as the County Chief Officer Economic Planning.
Yes, I can confirm that.
What is the problem with that?
You find a day before, she is the Minister in charge of Finance and Economic Planning. A day after, she is the PS in the same ministry.
What complication will that arise, and how then will we blame the governor for that particular issue?
A PS can never serve as a minister at the same time.
So how do we blame the governor for that? Does he take any blame?
Incompetence and poor governance.
So he is incompetent and there is poor governance on that particular aspect. So if you look at paragraph 29 and 30, you have given us an explanation. That is of your statement.
I'm aware that the governor has violated the provisions of section 104 of the PFM on responsibilities and the powers of county treasury through inaction, action, omission, and commission to continue to preside over a broken public finance management system.
Okay.
This was despite various resolutions from the county assembly to the governor in order to decentralize the finance sector, which he never did, in contravention to 148 of the Public Finance Management Act.
Thank you. I'll take you to paragraph 32 and 33 of your statement on the issue of tax waivers. Kindly submit to that.
Article 201 of the Constitution of Kenya on the prudent use of financial resources, and section 159 of the Public Finance Management 2012, together with section 5 and 7 of the Nairobi County Tax Waivers Administration Act 2013. He violated this act by unilaterally and arbitrarily issuing waivers in total disregard of the law.
So he issued waivers. Where do we find these waivers in your evidence?
That is page 1048 to 1052.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that again is in the first particular file, 9A. Just go to that page, Mr. Ogada, 1048 and 1052.
This is the Tax Waivers Act.
Yes, you
Yes.
have the Act and 1048 all through. You have also put the copies of these tax waivers adverts. Do you have them?
Yes, the copies are there
Which page?
of the waivers he gave. That is on page 1053.
1053.
And in this case, the issue here was that the county, the executive committee member responsible, that is the act,
Yes.
the executive committee member responsible for the finance may, if she deems fit, with the concurrence in writing of the governor, waive payment of any tax fees due to the county government.
Fair enough. So we'll go to paragraph 35 of your statement. Paragraph 35 of your statement on issue of NMS. Kindly elucidate on that.
And one thing that I've not raised about that is when he was giving the waivers, one of the cardinal requirements is that within 14 days, he is supposed to really inform the assembly of the waivers he has given, which he never did in any single occasion.
So he never ever gave any information to the county assembly?
He has never done.
On the tax waivers you've referred to?
Yes.
Okay, so we can go to paragraph number 35 on issues of NMS and Article 5 of the deed of transfer.
Mr. Speaker, the governor violated the provisions of Article 5 of the deed of transfer of functions by purposely, deliberately, intentionally, arrogantly, responsibly sabotaging the transfer of functions. Furthermore, the governor is yet to provide NMS with crucial and necessary documents to facilitate them. Mr. Speaker, as I expound on this, one thing we need to appreciate is that the governor willfully went and signed an agreement between the county and the national government, a function which was actually covered live, and it was done within State House. And we didn't see anybody being forced to sign anything. We only saw people parading to be photographed with the signed documents. As a county, we were never involved, but when it was brought...
Mr. Ogada, yes. Mr. Ogada, you have a document which you are referring us to on that particular issue on page 1057?
Yeah, on 1057, I will be...
There is a document on page 1057.
1057.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that is again on the first file, file number 9A.
On this one, it was written by a Mr. Gadenge.
That letter is dated when?
29th April 2020. Yes. Request for preparation for the handing over and taking over of functions transferred from Nairobi City County Government to the national government. This is to inform you that I am under firm and clear instruction from His Excellency the Governor as the Chief Executive Officer of Nairobi County Government not to provide you with any information. This is due to consistent and persistent breach of the terms of deed of transfer.
So that letter...
It was written to the Director General NMS.
So who is this Justice M. Kathenge?
That is the Acting County Secretary.
Acting County Secretary. You have also indicated there's a video you wished to adduce and play?
Yeah, that is a video clip number 9.
The letter in reference. The letter in reference is not addressed. The letter in reference is addressed to the Auditor General, Your Honor, unclear as it is. And for that matter, we are seeking your indulgence, Your Honor, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we are not misled in these proceedings by citing documents and inputting addresses that are not contained in the letters.
Just take a note of that and you will raise it when your time comes.
So, Mr. Ogada, you had indicated there's a video. And Mr. Speaker, sir, at this point we will seek your indulgence to play video number 9 that Mr. Ogada has referred to.
There's no volume.
Nahitaji msaada yako kudismantle. Alafu watu wanaenda kufa, sheria inavunjwa. Mimi Mheshimiwa Rais, nakuomba kateli liko kaunti ni kubwa zaidi, nahitaji msaada yako kudismantle. Hata revenue Mheshimiwa Rais, tumejaribu, pesa inaenda kwa bank, lakini bado makatelo wameganga. Tunaomba uingilie hiyo kazi Mheshimiwa Rais. Vile ulifanya KRA, ukapeleka wafisadi nyumbani, naomba msaada yako Nairobi Mheshimiwa Rais. Kama ni revenue chukua huko national government. Kama ni planning Mheshimiwa Rais, ichukua pia ile national government. Kwa hiyo njia ukinisaidia Mheshimiwa Rais, cartel zitazikwa kwa kaburi ya sahau, wananchi wapate maendeleo, vijana wapate kazi, mahospitali ziwe na madawa, mashule iweze kujengwa.
So in short, who is that appearing?
That is Governor Sonko, clearly requesting His Excellency the President to take over responsibilities that he was given by the citizens of this great county.
What's your point of order, Senator Murkomen?
Mr. Speaker, there is a rule in this House, the Senate, and I suspect it is the rule in most of the county assemblies, because their standing orders were drafted like ours, that media reports are not referred to in both the chamber and committees of the Senate. So how are we expected to treat that kind of evidence, Mr. Speaker?
Senator Murkomen, that's the evidence, and you'll have time to use whatever we have when you are making a decision. Okay, let's proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir. So in brief, who is that and what is he saying?
The governor of Nairobi County requesting His Excellency the President to assist him do the work of Nairobi.
So I'll ask you to look at paragraph 31 and the letter that you referred to. Paragraph 31 and that letter and that video.
I am aware that His Excellency the Governor has broken Article 5.5 of the Deed of Transfer. That is page 359, by his refusal to hand over the necessary documentation to enable Kenya Revenue Authority to undertake optimal revenue collection.
So, and refer that to the letter that you referred to in reference to the governor's request, as you have said, for assistance.
Request for preparation for handing over, taking over of functions transferred from Nairobi City County government to the national government.
Yes. Okay, I'll refer you now to the next ground, that is abuse of office. Paragraph 36 of your statement.
Under abuse of office, the governor violated section 75 of the Constitution as read together with sections 11, 13, and 16 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012 on the conduct of state officers. The governor has aided, abetted.
Video. You have indicated that you have also evidence attaching to that in your...
Yeah, I will request that the Speaker allow us to play audio clip number 1 and video number 12.
Mr. Speaker, we will request that audio clip number 1 and video clip number 12 is played, and just for a general caution, it is not words that we would really wish to play in public, but it is our evidence as words by the governor. Audio clip number 1. Audio clip number 1, kindly.
To your point of order.
the clip cannot be played in public. Mr. Speaker, our proceedings are live and our children are watching. So as a mother, I'm cautious that if it's something... As a mother and wife, Mr. Speaker, I'm cautious on what is coming on the screens and my children are watching.
Have you seen it?
But they've cautioned us. They've cautioned us, Speaker.
But you don't know what the caution...
So unless it's in camera.
You don't know what the caution it was. Therefore, don't pre-charge. Let's watch it.
That's why, Mr. Speaker, it might come out and children are watching. So it will be too late, Mr. Speaker. So unless we go off.
Mr. Speaker, that's why we need to impeach him and we need to demonstrate that. Maybe we may play video clip number 12.
That language, Mr. Speaker, sir, is wrong. That is why we need to impeach him. Why is that? That's prejudging this honorable House.
That is the position of our client, and that is what they need to demonstrate.
Order, Senator Omanga.
Video clip number 12 or audio clip number 1?
Kumbavu wewe, takataka ghasia. Ndio bado ulikuwa unakatwa makende, matako wewe. Mzee, wewe ni mzee, ukwalify kanjo si mama yangu, wewe ni grandmother. Wewe ni grandmother wewe. Chanda, makende wewe. Niko nini? Shazi wewe. Naogopa Mungu si mwana maji. Takataka wewe. Loyalty yako ni ya pesa. Matako wewe. Matako. Matako wewe. Matako wewe. Shazi, kumbavu. Peleka chakula kwa mama yako. Peleka chakula kwa mama yako wewe. Shazi wewe.
Okay.
Kumbavu. Takataka.
Okay. Order. Order, members. Order, members. Order. Order. No. I'm not going to allow. He was only mentioning some organs of the body. What is outrageous about that? Proceed.
Video number 12. Video number 12. Kindly.
Useless. Na nitakuonesha na hiyo pesa yako. Jinga wewe. Shenzi. Whom do you think you are? Mwizi wewe wa kawaida. Kwenda kabisa.
The governor threatening the investor with dire consequences.
Kuja hapa Kayole sasa hivi uone kama ni mwanaume.
So what do you have to say about that?
Senator Falhada, what is your point?
Before we've seen the screen, we could only hear the voice, but now we don't know if, what evidence does it show that that is Mike Sonko?
Order, let me give further direction. Order. I said, as Senate, you are the jury. Your time will come when you will now look at all these things and make a judgment. So you'll take a decision. Professor Kindeki.
37, 38, 39, be reading. 37, 38, 39.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with you that the parties have a right to adduce the evidence that they think will advance their parties. But as a procedural question, Mr. Speaker, I will request your guidance whether it is in order for any kind of evidence to be broadcast. Because, Mr. Speaker, hypothetically, a party can bring pornographic material as evidence, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, I would cautiously request a recommendation whereby, going forward, sensitive material, which is of a nature that cannot be shared in this way, proceed on camera. So if it must proceed, it proceeds on camera. That's what courts of law do, because the Senate cannot be a place for broadcasting profanity or other material that could be. And I'm not saying there is anything profane. I'm just saying that we need to be careful. The leeway is there, but some things the Speaker may have to guide us so that we maintain a bit of privacy and contain material that should not be consumed by everybody.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if I may, if I may,
we don't have that
just
evidence.
order, Senator Susan Kika, what is it? Let's minimize interjections because the time is.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me also add my voice to that issue. It seems a bit disturbing that council here, as much as they do want to bring whatever evidence they have to prove their case, that they are able to just bring anything, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I believe there should be some procedure or some process where maybe we are even able to authenticate what it is that they're bringing in. So we have to have some chain of custody, perhaps, maybe be able to make sure that that is whoever they are saying, they're arguing is his voice, is his voice. We don't know all that. So I don't think they should be able to just throw in the kitchen and the kitchen sink to the wall and see what sticks.
Okay, maybe going. No. Let's make progress. Because order. You know, these materials were. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I think it will be proper for us to look at the evidence. But since we have an in-camera session, maybe at that point, when we're deliberating, we can listen to such. Because it's actually not fair that our children back at home are listening to this, and you don't know the context as to when, we don't have the whole picture, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Because,
order.
Just with a small clip of 30 seconds, you don't know whether it has been edited so that it suits a certain narrative. So I think what I'd request, Mr. Speaker, because we are the jury, we are the people who are supposed to make the decisions. If we are not happy with the way things are proceeding, I think it is right for us to raise them so that we don't have to wait until the time when we're talking.
Okay, order. I want to say this. First, looking at those videos, they were made in public and people were watching. It was not in privacy. So, they were not. What I'm saying is you saw one of them was on NTV and people were watching. So what I'm saying, going forward, when we go, like you said, in camera, we'll be able to look at the evidence that has been brought so that we are able to move forward. Let us proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And
we also place to the attention of the Speaker that we do not have those video clips. They were not served upon us in advance, Mr. Speaker. And actually there is a risk, there is going to be miscarriage of justice, Mr. Speaker. If videos and clips are going to be played here that have not been served upon the governor and his team.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if I may respond, because that matter directly affects us, as the question of the service. Yesterday we met at the office of the clerk to this house, where we all exchanged documents. We've been candid enough to disclose each and every evidence being brought forward, and Mr. Speaker, I confirm that we served Mr. Kinyanjui's clerk with all the relevant evidence.
Order. This is not a market. You have to respect the House. Yes. Stand when I give you an opportunity. So let's proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, Mr. Ogada, from what you have heard, what can you briefly tell this particular House, very briefly?
Mr. Speaker, the concern that I have is just the concern that each and every member has here. They are saying some things which we are hearing of are things which really a parent sitting together with the children is not supposed to listen to or watch. And that is the governor you gave us, and those are the things we are watching. And that is why we decided that enough is enough. We are not able to continue watching the same things with our children. So we have made a decision that we impeach him.
I'll confirm to this House that whether we have a certificate detailing where these particular video clips and audio clips have been procured from, and that has been filed in this particular House.
Yes, there is a certificate, and it was filed with the clerk of the Senate.
Thank you. So I will take you to paragraph 37, 38, 39, 40. Kindly speak to that particular issue.
38, Mr. Speaker, the Governor, Mike Mbuvi Sonko, oversaw and authorized the financing of an illegal, irregular, extravagant, exorbitant, and flashy trip to New York, the United States of America, by his daughter, Saumu Agnes Mbuvi, amounting to Kenya shillings 4.6 million. The daughter was disguised as a ward administrator of the Nairobi County to purportedly attend the county First Ladies Conference held during the 62nd session of the Commission on the Status of Women in 2018.
Kindly explain that, that particular aspect, kindly.
Mr. Speaker, that is an absolute abuse of office from the onset as you look at it. Because one, here we find him flying his daughter to the United States of America to attend the First Ladies Conference. The problem here is, number one, the daughter is disguised as a ward administrator. And if you look at the ward administrators we have in the Nairobi County, the daughter has never been a ward administrator. Besides that, Mr. Speaker, sir, the daughter flies in a first class to New York, costing the taxpayer 840 million Kenya shillings, which I know even the Speaker of this House may be permitted to travel using first class, but I doubt very few Kenyans are allowed to travel first class using public funds. But here is a case they did.
So we can find that. We can find that evidence, Mr. Ogada, as per your paragraph 40, where the evidence of this exorbitant expenditure. Paragraph 40 of your statement.
We will get it on page 1120, 1120.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that is page 1120 of the second file, that is 9B. The second file is a black file. The third file, my apologies, it's 9C. 9C, my apologies. 9C is the red file. It's a dangerous file. That's why it's red. Kindly take the House through that evidence on page 1120 as you explain.
Mr. Speaker, there is an affidavit to that effect of the officer who was basically entrusted to make sure that it happens.
So I think that witness can testify on that. We can go to paragraph 41 then.
Mr. Speaker, sir, on the same trip, apart from using first class, we find the governor's daughter being hired for a chopper at a cost of 220,000 Kenya shillings to go around New York City to see how beautiful the city was using public funds. She goes ahead to have an offside party at a cost of 260 using public funds.
260 what? Kindly
60,000.
Which currency?
Kenya shillings.
Thank you.
The same lady is transferred from the First Ladies Conference to Philadelphia at a cost of 60,000. As she was in Philadelphia, she went to visit tourist sites at a cost of 120,000 using Kenyan money. She was accompanied by the media, and those media people were paid 120. And while she was around that place, they were able to spend around 300,000 on ground transport. But you remember, she was flown at a cost of 60,000 to Philadelphia, but ground transport within Philadelphia took 300,000.
So the documents that you have referred to, do they demonstrate where this amounts, colossal amounts, where they came from? Who paid for that in simple?
It was paid by the county government.
And was that payment a valid payment? Was it supposed to be paid? Was she supposed to have received such particular benefit?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the money, part of it was given direct to the airline, the agent who procured the tickets, and then the per diem of 2.6 million was a junior officer from the county was forced to go and withdraw using her name in a company of a bodyguard of His Excellency the Governor. After withdrawing the cash, the bodyguard walked away with the 2.6 million.
So on this, there's you've indicated there's evidence you wanted to be played in your paragraph 40 of your statement. There's a video you wanted to be played.
I have the clip 7.
Clip 7. Mr. Speaker, sir, maybe clip 7 can be played?
This
for the
one has no
comfort,
question.
it doesn't have any derogatory remarks.
Okay.
It is the same. We give it in a to all of it.
Party after party, after party after party, party after party, party after party, party.
So it's a party mode, I believe. I will take you to paragraph 41. Paragraph 41 and 42, kindly explain to the House. Or who, kindly explain to us, because it's a bit funny. Who is that? I may not know him. And what is he doing?
Mr. Speaker and honorable members, you remember as the children of Nairobi were going home without food, others were out of school as a result of the diversion of their school fees. His Excellency the Governor was in France doing party after party at the expense of service delivery in the county of Nairobi.
Thank you. So paragraph 41 and 42, kindly, briefly. Paragraph 41 of your statement and 42.
Mr. Speaker, this is about persistent harassment and intimidation of officers. The county executive, including blackmailing his county executive members and chief officers with 1-year contracts whose renewal he undertakes arbitrarily, leaving the officers jittery about their employment and creating climate of fear, uncertainty, despondence. And to put this to perspective, Mr. Speaker, sir, the governor failed to renew the contract of 23 chief officers in May 2019. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a serious problem we are having in the county, and as members of the county assembly, we have tried to really talk about it. One, you will appreciate that in Nairobi County, that is where 90% of the officers are in acting capacity. I isolated, for example, one department, that is the finance docket. Remember that we have been, since the elections, we have been in office for about 36 months, that's 40 months since we were elected. And you will be shocked that during this time in finance docket alone, we have had 10 CECs in finance docket, 10 CECs within 3 years. And we have had 8 chief officers. 8 chief officers in the same docket. Mr. Speaker, sir, that clearly talks about poor governance. It is poor governance.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir.
So continue.
You will have time. You will have your time to cross-examine.
Continue.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in regard to that, we'll be having one witness who will be speaking to that once I'm done.
Video.
And
there is something you have indicated.
There's a video number 3.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, video number 3. Video number 3, kindly.
Corruption and lack of professionalism, with Ouko lifting the lead on the operations at City Hall while explaining why she left the Mike Sonko's government.
We are dealing with a reckless ego, roaming around with abandon, with state machinery, looking for who to destroy next to compensate for self-esteem deficiencies.
So in that video, what in short was happening, if it is within your knowledge?
That is one of the chief officers. That was Janet Ouko, the then CEC for education in the county, clearly describing the environment in which she was working.
You confirm that she was also a witness in this matter?
Yes.
So we can go to paragraph 43, kindly, of your statement. Paragraph number 43. What are you telling us in short?
The governor has not only sexually molested the female members of the county executive, including his county executive members and chief officers, as shall be demonstrated later, but has extended his detestable behavior to our women and mothers, our sisters, including female leaders, by publicly exposing them to ridicule, odium, contempt, and embarrassment.
What?
For example, in video 1.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, video number 1 can be played.
Mimi si bwana yako, hata ndio unashika simu sasa wewe unataka. Because he's a busy president. Because he's a busy president. Kwa hivyo mimi si bwana yako, hata ndio unashika simu sasa wewe unataka. Kwa hivyo hapo tuheshimiane. Lakini upande ya miradi mimi niko nyuma yako. Na kuunga mkono. Haya, kwa heri ya kuonana.
Kindly explain that embarrassing situation, kindly.
Mr. Speaker, that was brought in order to see how His Excellency the Governor treats fellow leaders, and more especially women leaders.
So I'll take you to paragraph 44. In short,
the governors have violated Section 73 of the Constitution by failing to promote public confidence in the integrity of the office of the governor following his arrest and being charged for conspiracy to commit an offense of corruption to Section 47A3 as read together with Section 48 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act for knowingly conspiring to commit an offense of corruption, namely embezzlement of public funds in the sum of Kenya shillings 357 million. As a consequence, Honorable Speaker, the governor has been barred from accessing his office.
So what do you have to demonstrate that? Is it in your evidence?
Page 1154 and 1155.
Mr. Speaker, sir, that is on the file labeled 9D, Mr. Speaker, 9D. page 1155 and 1156. Kindly explain to us quickly what do you find in that particular document?
Those are charge sheets as evidence of him having been charged.
So read for us that particular, the particulars of the offense in page 1154. Who has been charged? Particulars of the offense. Down there is particulars of offense, 1154.
The governor.
Just read the names kindly.
Good.
1154.
54. Yeah, there we have Kioko Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, Mike Sonko, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko Sonko, Peter Mbugwa Kariuki.
That's okay. Yeah. So, who are those people?
One and the same person.
It's one and the same person. And yes. Who is that person?
Governor.
With all those names in relation to these proceedings?
Those ones are, they're referring to Governor Sonko.
Okay. So, which is the charge? Count one on the same page. The same page. The charge there is?
Conspiracy to commit an offense of corruption.
Okay. Yes. I'll take you to the next page. That is page 1158. Count number 4. What is the statement of offense?
Conflict of interest contrary to section 42(3) as read together with section, and particularly the name is Kioko Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko Mike Sonko, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko Sonko.
Okay, count number 11. What is the statement of offense? It is on page 1161.
Money.
We are not getting that clearly.
That is on money laundering.
Money laundering. Again, who has been charged?
Kioko Mike Sonko Mbuvi Gideon. Okay. Alias Mbuvi Gideon Kioko, alias Mike Sonko Mbuvi.
That is okay. Page 1162, count 13. Count 13, statement of offense, 1162.
Acquisition of proceeds of crime contrary to section 4 of the proceeds.
Again, who has been charged?